Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. Webster Tarpley here in Washington, D.C. So, with Carter was attacked by the killer rabbit when he was rowing his canoe. Obama had to swat the fly in the interview with one of these NBC news hounds. So the parallels between Obama and Carter are now building up. They're very, very heavy. This is now the second term of Jimmy Carter under extreme crisis conditions. The other thing, of course, as Obama becomes more and more unpopular, the spell is broken. The birth certificate issue comes out, right? The issue pioneered by Phil Berg. We're going to have Phil Berg on the show in beginning of our second hour, we hope. But this week we've had Lou Dobbs, radio and TV, CNN, Hannity on Fox News, all talking about the birth certificate issue. MSNBC has gone bonkers one whole day. We had Rick Sanchez, Matthews, and the Olbermann Show all blathering about the birth certificate. And then I think the turning point, this past Wednesday evening, Brian Williams, NBC Nightly News, a whole thing about the birth certificate. This is because some Republican hecklers, and I think these are actually professional hecklers. In other words, I think they're sent in, and I think that's fair. All's fair in politics. They've sent in. It reminded me a little bit of that the riot of the Republican congressional aides to stop the vote count in Florida. Maybe some of the same characters have been hired to go into these meetings. But this is Congressman Michael Castle of Delaware, liberal Republican. And they heckled him because he's not doing anything about Obama's citizenship. And constitutionally, they're on very firm ground, whatever else you may think of their methods and so forth. So that is now going on. We'll hear from Phil Berg in a minute. The Afghan war. This is now Obama's Vietnam, and we've got to focus on this. This is getting to be a huge crisis. We're going towards these elections in Afghanistan on the 20th of August, so less than a month away. The Obama regime would actually like to dump President Karzai. They would like to turn him into the new DM. They would like to have him found in the trunk of a car. But in the meantime, the body bags, and this is tragic. This is now the worst month in the entire course of the Afghan war, starting in October of 2001. We have 37 U.S. dead so far, 30 NATO dead and rising, and this month is not over. This is now worse than Iraq for the British, and the death count is on the same scale as Iraq. It is Obama's Vietnam. We had Maliki of Iraq at the White House this week. Not very good relations there, but at least the U.S. might still be on the way out, although that could blow up at any time. That would actually be a strategic catastrophe if it did. If you keep pushing the Iranians with a color revolution, you're going to find that they will retaliate through Iraq, and that will be everybody tied down. 130,000 U.S. still in Iraq now, rising towards 60,000 in Afghanistan. Those ratios are set to flip under Barkey's plan. Joe Biden, motor mouth warmonger Joe Biden, has said that the deaths in Afghanistan are worth it. And of course, when you say that a hecatomb of deaths are worth it, everybody thinks of Madeleine Albright talking about the Iraqi sanctions. The bankruptcy is now quite apparent. Biden thinks it's worth it, but the British and the Canadians are likely to be the first ones to say, it's not worth it. We're leaving. We've got to get out of here. Remember, the British lost one entire army in Afghanistan in the Afghan war around 1840. One person was allowed to come back to tell this horrendous story. It is the graveyard of empires, more so than Iraq even, although Iraq also has a certain record going back to El Crassus and the Romans. So the crisis of Afghanistan will loom larger and larger. And the very interesting issue is, where is the U.S. peace movement? This week I looked at the Code Pink website. Code Pink, if you look at the Code Pink website, this is Medea Benjamin and her foundation-funded peace fakers. The big issue there is Honduras. They want to bring back this strong-arm character who was ousted in Honduras by the military. In other words, a postmodern coup was defeated by a modern coup for the moment. And Code Pink wants you to get worked up about Honduras, but not about the tidal wave of body bags coming back from Afghanistan. This is the bankruptcy of the foundation-funded peace movement, right? And this shows, essentially what we found in the aftermath of the Kenny Bunkport warning, when a whole bunch of people signed the Kenny Bunkport warning and then claimed that they didn't sign it because their foundation funding officers said, if you keep your signature on that document, you'll lose your funding. And they all said, oh, no, we can't do that. So this is a sad commentary on the U.S. peace movement. Now, it means that we need new leaders who actually believe in peace, not just bashing Bush. Bashing Bush is fine, but that doesn't mean then that you're going to start supporting the Afghan war and indeed the continuation of the Iraq war that's happening right now. Gordon Brown in Britain is on the verge of collapse. A couple of years ago at this time, right, during the British bank holiday. Bank holiday, of course, is a holiday in Britain. It's every August 15th or so. There's a day off called the bank holiday. It doesn't mean there's a bank holiday. It just means it's a holiday in the calendar. Maybe some people are confused. But you remember that in 2007 there was an attempt, 2006 already, to oust Tony Blair with a quick no-confidence vote in the House of Commons when he was away on vacation. Let's see if Gordon Brown takes a vacation, because Gordon Brown is really on his last legs. And he shows Obama his own future in the sense that Gordon Brown was the first guy to come out and say, oh, we've got Northern Rock, we've got Lloyds Bank, we've got Royal Bank of Scotland. We're going to bail them all out. We're going to bail them out to the tune of hundreds of billions of trillions of pounds. Gordon Brown shows you where that policy gets you. It gets you to the point where you're going to collapse. So these issues. Now, if we look at Iran, in the aftermath of the failed people power coup by the U.S. and the British, we see an extremely interesting development, and I'm getting more and more convinced that Ahmadinejad, even though he does not have the intelligence of a Putin, he is a military secret police guy. He does not have the world historical stature of Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, but he might say instead he might not be the new Putin or the new Ataturk. He might be at least the new Mubarak or maybe the new Saddam, if you want. In other words, some kind of a more traditional dictatorship, bureaucratic authoritarian regime, but not controlled by the Anglo-Americans and not run by Obama. So this is now what we see. There's a big controversy in Iran about who is going to be the vice president, and Mousavi has put in his candidate and is insisting on him, even though the supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, the benighted one, says, no, we can't have this guy. And the issue actually is that the candidate that Ahmadinejad wants said some conciliatory things to the Israelis, and therefore the mullah establishment is up in arms because they demand some other kind of complete anti-Israeli rejection front line. So here we have the wife of Mousavi is saying that the country is becoming more militarized, in other words, moving towards a military regime. Mousavi, the wife, says the security forces are expanding their powers. There is a near coup d'etat atmosphere, which is a danger to the Islamic Republic. Now, that would mean a danger to the monarchy, to the existence of these various ayatollahs, grand ayatollahs, and mullahs. Now, we'll get some other comments here, but you get the idea. If you dump the corrupt mullahs and you dump their morality police, you could get some popularity and stabilize your regime. Back in a minute.